Hey there, hi there, ho there. Glenn Wassmer coming to you live. Stay in your box. The value of pre-tracking. It does not matter what we do in life. We need a schedule. And I think the sloppiest times of our lives is when we're outside of our schedule, and maybe not something as tight and rigid, but at least a to-do list or what you can expect of yourself that day, what you want to expect yourself not to do on a particular day. So I titled this "Stay in Your Box" because I was a young kid, in my early 20s, and I was popping in and out of Haddonfield Lumber, and I had driven forklifts and put house loads of lumber together, and got them loaded up onto the trucks, moved up front to waiting on customers. I got into their construction division, and at one point in the Mount Ephraim yard, they had a train platform that had to be there. It was solid concrete. It had to be there from the 1920s. And the surface of it was sticking 3.5 foot out of the ground. And I don't know how deep it went. But Haddonfield Lumber wanted to build an edifice on top of that platform. But to stick to code, Mount Ephraim made them jackhammer holes into the train platform to fill them with concrete to be used as a code efficient or a code compliant footing for the new edifice. So of course my job, being young, was to get a jackhammer and start jackhammering into this railroad station track. And the boss was always teasing us. We would take a break and get to chatting. There was a bunch of us working on it. Pickaxes, jackhammers, you name it. We were young, dumb, and just ready to tear up this thing. But we would get to chatting and need to take a break. Obviously, you can't do that for 8 or 10 hours a day. But the foreman was always yelling us to get back in your hole, get back in your box. And that always stuck with me, and it always made me smile. And that's why I used it as the title of this video, Get Back in Your Box. And this is for us that are trying to stay on schedule with meal programming and those kind of things. But one of the most important things I ever learned was an item called pre-tracking. And it was in my days when I was doing Weight Watchers. Phenomenal program. As long as you stick to it, you'll be fine. It's when we get off of it that things get sloppy. But the leader's name was Rick Boyle. And Rick Boyle was an extremely intelligent man. But he had a brain abnormality, it turns out, later on in life that stopped him from being able to read comprehensively. And he just had you have to understand how intelligent this guy was, because he was functioning with a portion of his mind that wasn't working properly. And people just kept misdiagnosing him and calling him names and this or that. And here he just had an abstract way of viewing things that, like nobody else that I knew. So Rick Boyle came up with a method that if you were ever going to have a day off of your diet program, whether it's Weight Watchers, the Dr. V diet, that you automatically had to pre-track the next 3 days of food, what you're going to eat for the next 3 days. Because what happens is when you go to a barbecue or something, you almost raise the thermometer of your food appetite. And the next day you try to get back on your diet, and man, you're starving. So he said, if you're going to ever give yourself a free day, you have to pre-track your next 3 days. So that's why I wanted to share this with you. So this is I've had this thing for 30 years. This is my Coleman cooler. And this is what it looks like when I leave the house for lunch. I've got the 5 waters that'll have an ice pack at the bottom. But essentially what I'll have for my lunch just will fit into this Tupperware container. I'll have my solid, would be maybe a piece of, basically it's usually a piece of fish. Maybe tuna, salmon, smoked whiting, or whatever kind of fish I want. And then the rest of it is just my fluffy greens, maybe a slice of tomato. But this is my box. When I leave the house, I stay in this box. That's the importance of staying on track. I don't go outside of my lunch box. That's why the rest of it is simply filled with H2O, and I'll take those with me as well. And that might not be as easy for some as it is others, but I know it works for me. When I I would have an app called Bariatric. It's a play on the word bariatric. And really, it let you punch in your food, and it would calculate out how many proteins, how many grams of protein, how many carbs. And carbs are a little misleading because even leafy greens have carbs, but they're not the same carbs that you get in soda and eating crackers and that kind of thing. But it really was a nice way to just make sure that I was getting the proper nutrition, the proper protein without overloading on it or malnourishing myself. And maybe for some of you moms, it's not going to be as easy. And you've got a house full of kids. And as you're cooking for the kids and making lunch, you're dipping into those, what Rick Boyle would call the BLTs, the bites, the licks, and the taste that we don't count and put into our tracker. So your day might look something like this, where, you know, it's just a Tupperware container and you set it up in the morning, the things that you're going to eat in it. And this is your box for the day. And the rest of the cupboards, the cabinet, the fridge is off limits. This could be in your refrigerator. Stay in your box. It works. I stay in my box and it works. I stayed in my hole and it worked. We got that project done. So I just wanted to share that with you. I really thought that was interesting because if you think of it, you do take in some saltier foods at functions where friends are, and you give yourself, or you've earned your right, you've stayed on track to go out and just maybe not overdo it, but just be able to have your nibbles and enjoy life like, you know, the rest of the people. Just don't overdo it. But a lot of those foods that you're consuming will be saltier than what you're on a normal diet or a healthier, cleaner diet. You have your green smoothie in the morning, and then that's what I walk out with for lunch. So I just wanted to share the value of pre-tracking with you, the importance of having a meal schedule or a meal plan, and staying with it. Really, that's the success or fall of all of our programs, all of our lives, all of our jobs. You know what I mean? It's all done with a schedule. Your boss wants X, Y, and Z, execute it. I'm self-employed, so I have to sit down and kind of figure out where I'm going to be at a certain point of time in the day. What are my expectations? Phone rings. Takes me out of my territory. Now I'm thrown off my game. Do I throw off the whole day? No. It's the same thing with your diet plan. You have to stay on track, stick with what works. I still, I think Dr. V is on the same thing as Harvey Diamond. You got to be 70 to 80% raw vegetables, and the rest are just your solids. And that can be steamed vegetables. And you know what? If you're going to put a tab of butter on it, have a tab of butter. And we'll get together in 15 years and we'll play a game of tennis. If you're going to have salad dressing, you can have your salad dressing. Dr. V yells at us. You did not get fat eating salad dressing. And you know what? He was right. It was all the other junk, the croutons, the bacos, and all the junk and the cheeses and the nonsense that you put on your salad. So give your taste buds some fun. Experiment with your dressings. You don't have to be too be too strict with it. You can be a little more liberal, but that's it. That's all you're putting in your body, and you're just pounding water till you get home and have your disciplined meal. So I hope this was a little bit helpful. I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm not sure that it's Sunday evening, in all fairness, so you guys got the weekend off, but only a few more days till the end of the month. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep going on with the daily lives. I think I might, but I want to get a little more structured with them. And I've just been kind of ad-libbing. That's why I did that 1 minute fruit infusion bottom video yesterday. But I gave a little more thought to this today as how to stay on track, maybe be encouragement to someone. 8 to 10 bottles of water, 3.5 liters a day. Mayo Clinic, Harvard University. 3.5 liters at a minimum for a male. Little bit less for women. You know what? I'm not going to touch on the women. Girls, that's your job to check with your doctors. But yeah, if you're going to the bathroom more, guess what? You're losing weight. If you're running to the bathroom, you're losing weight. It's excreted through your body. So I hope this was helpful. I wish you a wonderful night. Thanks for your likes and your comments, and anything else you can share. I'm open to some helpful tips. Hello, Lisa Knight. Hi, sweetie. How are you? You're always so nice and polite when you pop on. But, my love, I was just signing off. So, love you guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. God bless. Oops. Finito.